Marcus Chen pushed the wide dust mop across the hangar floor, his shoulders aching from 5 hours of repetitive motion. The morning sun sliced through the high windows, illuminating particles that danced mockingly in his wake. Around him, mechanics in crisp uniforms worked on the fleet of Apache helicopters, their laughter and casual conversation a constant reminder of how far he'd fallen. "Hey, janitor, you missed a spot near Bay 3, someone called out. Marcus nodded without looking up, redirecting his path. No point in arguing. At 52, with a service-related back injury and a medical discharge that had cost him everything, he was lucky to have any job on the base at all. Even if it was sweeping floors for $15 an hour. 10 years ago, he'd been Chief Warrant Officer Chen, one of the most respected Apache mechanics in the Army. His hands had kept birds flying through 2 tours in Afghanistan, earning him a reputation as the man who could diagnose problems by sound alone. Then came the IED that threw his vehicle, the 3 surgeries that followed, and the medical board that decided he was no longer fit for active duty. The pension wasn't enough. His daughter's medical school tuition wasn't going to pay itself. So here he was, invisible among the new generation of mechanics who didn't know his name and didn't care to learn it. "All units, we have a situation." The PA system crackled to life. Colonel Morrison's Apache experiencing critical failure. Aircraft grounded for very important person transport mission departing in 90 minutes. All available personnel to Bay 7. Marcus kept sweeping, though his eyes tracked the sudden flurry of activity. Young mechanics swarmed the Apache, their voices rising in controlled panic. This was Morrison's bird, the base commander's personal aircraft for a senator's visit that afternoon. Marcus had read about it in the base newsletter. 40 minutes passed. Then 60. The mechanics' voices grew sharper, more desperate. Marcus caught fragments of conversation. Fuel systems clean, avionics check out, ran every diagnostic twice. "Sir, we can't find it," a senior mechanic finally reported to Colonel Morrison, who had appeared in full dress uniform, his face thunderous. "Every system shows green, but she won't turn over. It's like she's refusing to start." Morrison's jaw clenched. "You have 20 minutes before I have to call Washington and explain why I'm not picking up Senator Bradley. 20 minutes to save all our careers." Marcus had stopped sweeping. His head was tilted slightly, listening to the mechanic's descriptions with the focus of a doctor hearing symptoms. He'd heard this before, years ago in Kandahar. An Apache with ghost problems, all systems functioning but refusing to start. It had taken him 3 hours to find it. A hairline crack in a specific relay that scanners couldn't detect but created an intermittent connection that... "Chen!" Marcus's head snapped up. Colonel Morrison was staring directly at him, recognition dawning in his eyes. "Marcus Chen? Warrant Officer Chen from the 101st? Yes, sir. Though it's just Marcus now." Morrison strode across the hangar. "What the hell are you doing pushing a mop? You were the best mechanic I ever served with." "Medical discharge, sir. Back injury." This was the only position available. The colonel's expression shifted through several emotions before settling on determination. "Can you still diagnose birds?" Marcus glanced at the Apache, then at the hostile faces of the mechanics who'd been calling him janitor all morning. "I believe I can, sir. Then get over here. That's an order, or a request. Whatever you can legally accept." Marcus set down his mop and approached the helicopter, his practiced eye already scanning the aircraft. The junior mechanics parted reluctantly, their skepticism palpable. He placed his hand on the fuselage, feeling the metal like an old friend, then moved to the cockpit. "Start her up," he said quietly. The mechanic at the controls complied. The Apache's systems hummed, lights flickering to life, but the main engine refused to engage. Marcus closed his eyes, listening. There, a barely perceptible click, too soft for young ears but familiar to his trained hearing. "Stop," he said. He moved to a specific panel below the main rotor assembly, pulling tools from a nearby cart. The mechanics watched in silence as his scarred hands worked with surprising grace despite his injury. He removed the panel, reached deep into the machinery, and carefully extracted a small relay component. "There," he said, holding it to the light. Hairline fracture in the J47 relay housing creates an intermittent connection that standard diagnostics read as functional. The vibrations from your diagnostic tests were probably the only thing keeping it connected enough to show green. Morrison took the piece, examining the nearly invisible crack. Outstanding. He turned to his stunned mechanics. Someone get this man a replacement part. Now. 8 minutes later, Marcus tightened the final connection. Try her now. The Apache roared to life, her rotors beginning their powerful rotation. A cheer went up from the assembled crew. Morrison clasped Marcus's shoulder, careful of his injury. My office tomorrow 0800. We're discussing a position that doesn't involve a mop. As Marcus walked back to retrieve his cleaning supplies, the mechanics who had mocked him that morning stood silent, respect and shame mingling on their faces. The senior mechanic approached. Sir, we didn't know. Thank you. Marcus nodded. You do now, but remember, the person you overlooked today might be the expert you need tomorrow. Rank and position aren't everything. Skills and experience have value, no matter whose name tag they're under. He picked up his mop, but somehow it felt lighter. Tomorrow would bring changes, but today he'd remembered who he really was. Not a janitor, not a broke veteran, but a man whose knowledge and dedication still had worth, still had purpose. And that made all the difference.